welcome to the Golden Hour and the Manifest Live Life Golden podcast and YouTube show. I'm Golden Duffy, your host, and today we're talking about boundaries. I did a boundary show back in season 1. You can find it on my YouTube channel. And today I'm doing it again because I feel I'm getting some new downloads. I've gotten some new boundaries myself. And I think it's a good time to talk about this. You know, if you don't have boundaries in your life, I'm seeing this as one of the biggest ways that people keep themselves in misery, keep themselves in a self-imposed prison by believing that they have to be quiet. You know, it's like there's so many people out there that are afraid of confrontation, you know, that have these wounds from confrontation from when they were little, that they can't speak their minds. And when you don't speak your mind and you keep pushing down your feelings, eventually things are going to blow up. And so if we just talk and say what's on our mind and, you know, release this throat chakra, which I'm going to do at the end of this, do a little exercise for your throat chakra to help you to be able to speak your mind and speak your truth and create the boundaries that help you to feel like your life is your own, not like you're just giving it away. There's so many people out there, I think, that often get themselves involved in relationships where the other person is taking. And I want you to pay attention to this because I want you to understand if you're the person who's taking all the time or if this is happening to you all the time. Because if you're letting your energy be manipulated by a lot of people a lot of the time, and you're just giving because you want to be liked, because you want to be loved, whatever that core wound is that causes you to do this at an extreme level, you know, at the detriment of the joy of your life, then that needs to be addressed and that needs to be looked at. If you're on the other end of that spectrum where you're the taker all the time, and if you look at your relationships, it's really interesting for takers because if you are a taker, you probably don't know you are a taker, but look at your relationships. Are you like dumping on people all the time? Are you expecting them to always show up for you, but you're not showing up for them? You know, this is something to come to consciousness with. I had a reflection recently, and this was such an interesting reflection as I was looking at a few things in my own life. As I was looking at things in my own life, I realized I had this friendship a long time ago. And this was at a time when we were not financially stable. In this friendship of mine, this woman she was extremely abundant. She had a beautiful home. Her husband had this amazing job. She could buy whatever she wanted. And I remember we met at the coffee shop every single day. And I expected her to buy me coffee. And I'm sure I said thank you, but sometimes words are empty, right? And I never offered to treat her. And I remember feeling like she owed that to me because she had the money. And if you're coming from that vibration, you're not living in an abundant universe. You're not seeing relationships in that give and take beautiful exchange that will make them healthy, whole, and happy. So look at your life and see who you're kind of pulling from and who you're expecting from, and see if there's an imbalance in your relationships or if somebody's doing that to you. Because if that's the case, you're often going to feel, if somebody's pulling from you, you're often going to feel resentful. You're going to feel like you're constantly giving and they're constantly taking. And it's just going to set you up in a level of misery that doesn't really serve you. I've had a lot of friendships that have ended because there was that massive imbalance. And when I came to the discovery of that, I realized the imbalance and then the friendship ended. So if you want to preserve relationships, if you want to come from a place where everyone is whole and happy and coming to the table in that light, which, you know, we're all expanding and growing. So that might be like a perfect world and a perfect scenario. Look at those relationships though, and ask yourself, are my boundaries really not in place? Am I giving too much? Are they taking too much? Or am I taking too much? It could be the other way around. So this conversation comes in light to an experience that we just had. And I did share a little bit about it, about someone who moved into our home and, you know, kind of felt like no choice. And that's a lot of times what happens with boundaries is I believe there's like a level of unconsciousness that we go through that gets us in these situations. Now, the important part about that is we're meant to be in these situations. Otherwise, we would not have. So I could beat myself up. I could say, I can't believe I found myself here again, because this is a cycle. It's always a cycle. And whenever you revisit a cycle, it's an invitation to heal something. So looking at that, I could have gotten upset about it, but instead I looked at it and I went, wow, this is a huge growth opportunity for me. This is a massive growth opportunity for me to use my voice, to speak my boundaries, and to absolutely not say that I don't have a choice in this. What happens when we're, in service to people and we're feeling like we need to help them, which is very disempowering, by the way, is we're taking our eyes off of what got them into their situations, and we're kind of taking responsibility for that, right? Feeling like we need to rescue, feeling like we need to save, which the feelings of needing to rescue and to save come very much from our egos, right? I need to be the angel. I need to swoop in and save everybody. That's from the ego. So knowing that and seeing that, we have to look at the basis of why we're doing things, right? Why we're doing things, why we're signing up for things. So this situation happened and this person ended up in my house. They were only supposed to be here for a few days, and a few days turned into 6 weeks. So I was asked at one point, is it okay if I stay for a month? And I said, that's totally fine, as long as you work things out with my kids, because there were some issues with my daughter, one of my daughters, and that never happened. And then I was asked to stay for another 5 weeks. And what I decided was I couldn't do this anymore. And it wasn't up to me to make sure that this person stayed in California. It was not up to me. I didn't prepave this. I didn't set this up this way. This wasn't my responsibility. And so when we do that hyper responsibility thing for people, we really do disempower them, but we also take on all of their stuff, right? We take on the fact that they came here unprepared. We take on the fact that they don't have anywhere to go, right? Except for home. So after I, really thought about this, I got a little download, and my download was this, and this may be a good download for you as well. And it was, don't mistake my kindness for weakness. And my weakness was that I wasn't speaking up. I wasn't saying what I needed, wasn't saying what I wanted, and I wasn't putting boundaries in place with someone who was not even a family member. So once I did this is such an interesting unfolding that happened. Once I did this and I said, that's not going to work for me anymore, and I'm going to need you out by the middle of next week. It was my husband's birthday. We were going away. The girls were going away, and I didn't want anyone in my home. She basically just said, okay. And she hung up the phone and didn't want to talk to me anymore. And then ended up coming here to get her stuff and created a huge temper tantrum meltdown with my kids. So that always tells you, excuse me, I'm getting over a little cough here. That always tells you people's response if you did the right thing, right? If you did the right thing. So I ended up thinking about it some more. She ended up leaving. I ended up thinking about it some more and ultimately sent her a text message that the main problem here, and I was like, I hope you don't feel animosity for my family. No, thank you. Nothing, right? Just left. No, thank you. Big blow up in the driveway with my kids for all my neighbors to hear. And I just sent her a text message and I said, I hope you don't have animosity for my family. We did what we could for you, but the bottom line was you came here unprepared. And to fault us for that isn't really fair. No response. No, thank you. No, nothing. Actually, we got blocked on all the social medias. So I know that I made the right decision in this. What this situation did for me and what situations will do for you when you speak up, even if they end relationships, those relationships probably were supposed to end or going to end eventually. It alleviated another 5 weeks of this, right? Another 5 weeks of me having to put up with this, probably more drama, more of the things that I don't want. It alleviated me not using my voice, which, funny enough, after that scenario happened, I had more opportunities to use my voice with other people, and I was determined to do that. So it kind of unlocked something in me to be able to say to other people that I needed to say things to, like, no, that's not okay. Like, you're overstepping your boundaries with me, and that's not okay. So it helped me to put boundaries in place in other ways. I don't know that I would have gotten that lesson if I had kept my voice, if I had kept quiet. It would have just gotten worse and worse and worse. So interestingly, everything that happens to us is neutral. Everything that happens is neutral. Like, I could say, why did I attract this? Why did I allow this? Right? I could have beat up on myself, harped on myself. It doesn't allow you to learn the lesson when you do that. It doesn't allow you to get the greatest amount of expansion when you do that. Instead, I looked at it and I went, wow, this is an opportunity and an invitation for me to see something that I need to see, grow in a certain way, put some boundaries in place, and see something, right? So recently I've been asking, right? We can ask divine energy, we can ask the angels, we can ask anything we want. Asking it is always given. I've just been asking for me to be able to see, or for someone else to be able to see, if someone is not up on the up and up, if someone is not to be trusted, or if somebody is doing something manipulative. And I had this download this morning that I read the Celestine Prophecy, and the Celestine Prophecy is one of those books, James Redfield, it's fiction. Man, have I taken this book to heart. It's one of those books where you start to see people's control dramas and you start to see people's agendas, so that you're not just taking people at face value. Now, that doesn't mean I don't trust people, but it does mean that I'm a little more aware of manipulation. And I'm a little more aware of control dramas when someone's trying to be aggressive to me, or someone's interrogating me, or when somebody's doing the poor me thing. Oh, it's a poor me thing, right? Poor me thing was going on quite a bit there. That I can see that drama and I don't have to be controlled by it, because energetically I can get my energy from the divine. I can get my energy from within. I don't need to get my energy from other people, which means I don't need to concede to their manipulation, because I don't need their energy. I didn't need her approval. I didn't need her, to be like, oh, you're the best mom in the world. I didn't need that from her. So therefore, I was able to put boundaries in place much sooner than if I was in that wounded space of, I need to help. I need to be a good person, right? Oh, those are so disempowering. And it puts you in a powerless position. That's the biggest thing with boundaries. When you don't have boundaries, when you feel like you're in a situation with someone and you feel like you have no power, right? I have no choice. Whenever you say, I have no choice, that's when you're in a powerless position. We always have a choice. And that's when I looked at this situation and I said, I do have a choice. This is my home. I get to say who lives here. I get to say who stays here. And if this is my sanctuary and somebody's coming in and creating a disruption in my sanctuary, I get to say, no more. You got to go. And unfortunately, sometimes people aren't going to receive that. They're not going to receive that the way you want. I mean, this happened to me with my biological family, and we've been estranged for 15 years because I finally put up some boundaries. I finally said, that's not okay. I finally said, no more of this. So when it comes to boundaries, look at your situation and understand that you always have a choice. You can always choose to do the hard thing now, or continue to make it hard until you have to do the hard thing. Because eventually you're going to have to do the hard thing, because It's just the nature of it, right? It's the nature of something not going well, somebody taking from you. They're not going to stop taking from you. They're not going to stop taking from you. The universe may come in and have certain situations. We had an interesting thing happen. I was talking to my husband about this yesterday. He had an employee who worked for him, and the guy was constantly asking him for money. So he would give him, basically it was like giving him an advance. So he would give him these advances, didn't know what the guy was doing with the money. He had all these stories, and he was a taker, right? He was a taker. And eventually what ended up happening was he got into an argument with another employee. They got into a huge fight at work, and he ended up quitting. So eventually those kind of things will happen, but it's just so hard along the way that why not learn our lessons now? Why not take those messages now, that feeling in your heart, right? Like that yucky feeling, that anxious feeling that you have in your heart from not wanting to do these things. Isn't it easier to just say it now? Just say it now. There was a book that I read a long time ago. It was called, I'm not going to remember. It was Lame Surya Das. It was written by a monk. And the thing that I remember from that book was just telling people how you feel and letting the chips fall where they may. And that was the line that made me decide to tell my family, because I was like, because all of this living in this misery, all of this living in this not wanting to say anything just creates so much dissension in your own life. It creates so much misery and resentment in your own life that you would be so much better off just saying what needs to be said and dealing with it from there. And this is not to put you in a place where you are blaming other people, right? This is not like, I'm going to go and tell everybody what I think of them. That's not what this is about. It's more about honoring your own feelings, in this life experience, and letting people know how you feel and what's okay and not okay, right? Like what you're going to tolerate and what you're not going to tolerate. When we're tolerating things, we're basically allowing things in our path that don't align with us. That's what tolerating is. It doesn't align with us. So we just put up with it, and we put up with it, and we put up with it until we can't put up with it anymore. And then we end up exploding, right? That's never good. So why not head it off? Why not put some boundaries in place? Another piece of this was meaning, with the meaning that we give to things. So I had a really strong download that the meaning that I gave to this was really important. That if I gave the meaning to this, that people suck, which is kind of like where sometimes we go, right? Like people suck and they just use us, and then they leave and they don't say thank you. They think that because we have all this nice stuff that they're entitled to it, when actually we've worked really hard to be where we are, and we didn't take any shortcuts. And, why are they entitled to everything that we've built? Like you can go there. And I went there for sure. It's part of the process, right? And instead of getting stuck there, which often we do, we get in that little resentful role, and then we don't want to help anybody, and we get disgusted with life. Processing out of that and going, oh my goodness, there's a huge lesson here for me. What do I need to see here? What do I need to know here? And looking at it from that framework allowed me to put a different meaning on it. Oh, this was put in place so I could break that cycle. This was put in place so I could see, so I could grow, so I could expand, so that my voice could get unlocked. Because I'll tell you now, I'm telling people what I really want to say. And I'm going to mean it. I'm really going to mean it. And it's not going to be aggressive, and it's not going to be mean, but it's going to be, it was funny because my daughter was like, oh, you're kind of, she'll say things like, oh, you were kind of mean. And I was like, no, it's direct. There's a very big difference between mean and direct. Mean is when you've got anger underneath it, when you've waited too long, right? Direct is when you're basically putting a boundary in place and you're firm about it. You don't have any emotion. You don't have any like negative emotion about it. You're just firm about it. You know who you are. You know what's acceptable to you. And you're not going to tolerate the stuff that you've outgrown. Let's put it that way, right? We don't want to tolerate stuff like that anymore. We want to outgrow this stuff because honestly, it's life sucking and it creates a lot of drama and it creates like a lot of just there's no peace when you're dealing with stuff like this. So the meaning that you give to things really matters, and that nothing has meaning. Nothing has meaning. So when you experience something, you're instantly going to put a meaning in place to that thing. And it's based on your wounds or your traumas or your past. If you decide in that moment to put a new meaning on it, like, oh, okay, cool. This is something new for me to work on. This is a new lesson. This is a new level. This is not a cycle. This is a cycle ending, right? Like if we put all of that energy into this, it's going to morph the whole thing. It's like alchemy for what we're experiencing, because now we're able to look at it more subjectively instead of being pulled into the drama, instead of being pulled down into the problem. We're above it going, okay, I see you. And I'm ready to work on you from a solution-based place. Remember, the problem and the solution are different vibrations. So as I'm looking at this and I'm seeing it kind of from above, I'm seeing all the ways that I need to speak up, all the ways that, there's always a choice. Like I'm getting this, there's always a choice. Everything is, everything turns to good. Whatever that lesson is, it's to understand that people will come, people will take if you are so loving and giving and putting yourself out there so much. People will gravitate to that. People that, don't have what you have will gravitate to that. And what are you going to do next time? So when it comes to relationships, the boundaries that we hold really do matter because they are a reflection of how we really feel inside. So if you feel unworthy, if you feel unlovable, if you feel that low self-esteem, that low self-confidence, you're going to attract those bullies. You're going to attract, people who are going to take advantage of you. You're going to attract all sorts of stuff that will help you, that's here to help you move away from that, move out of that, grow out of that. And the only way we grow out of something is by going through it, right? And by going through it in a way that's conscious. And we can see, and we're looking, and we're asking, and we're journaling, and we're deciding in those moments what we're going to tolerate and what we need from a situation, what is okay for us in that situation. If you feel like you're always left out, if you feel like people don't include you, if you don't have that inclusive feeling, right? You feel like an outsider in your own world, and maybe you don't have community, maybe you don't have family, so you feel like everyone leaves you out, then that's exactly what you're going to keep attracting. So if you have situations where you're looking at it and the potential is there for you to be left out, you've got to shift that. And if they leave you out, you've got to respond differently in order to change the energy around that, or you're going to keep experiencing it because you haven't learned from the cycle yet. You haven't invited the healing. There's a wound there, a core wound that happened from when you were really small that needs to be addressed. So I would highly recommend that you do some journaling, you get in touch with that inner child. I do have an inner child meditation on my YouTube channel. And if you find it and there's ads, just email me and I'll email you one without the ads. Thanks, YouTube. Because you got to get in touch with the inner child. You got to get in touch with that core wound in order to release yourself from it. Because once you acknowledge it, once you go, oh, okay, I have this core wound, you can either hold on to it by still responding the same, still feeling the same, or you can say, enough is enough. I've had enough of this, right? I've had enough of feeling this way. I'm not going to let these people make me feel this way. I'm not going to allow this anymore. I'm going to stand on my own 2 feet. I'm going to be the loving, beautiful, bright light that I am. And if they can't handle that, I'm going to go somewhere else, right? Because we're not the same vibe of everybody. So everybody's not going to, I say this all the time. I'm not for everybody. I'm just not. Some people don't want to talk to me. They don't want to read my posts. They don't want to know about this stuff because knowing about this stuff comes with a price, right? It comes with personal responsibility. But the other cost of not knowing about this stuff, of not paying attention to it, is that you're completely living your life from default. Most likely from wounds, feeling like life is random, not really being able to create much. So that's a bigger price to pay, I think. So when it comes to that meaning, what meaning are we putting on things? Are we able to do like the 4 agreements and go, I'm not taking that personally. That's not even about me, right? I said this to my daughter recently about my husband because sometimes, he's in business mode and she's got a boyfriend right now who can very much be in business mode. And I said, I never take it personally. I don't love it. I don't love that sometimes he is just like hyper focused. I mean, I do love his focus. It does benefit our life a lot, but I don't take it personally anymore. I don't make it, I don't let it fester a wound for me. Yeah, pay attention to that. Are you letting it fester a wound for you? Or have you healed that wound? Because I very much have healed that wound. And in the past, I would have gone and looked for attention from other people because I wasn't getting it from him. And now I don't need that attention. I love it. I love it when he pays attention to me. But when he's focused on work and he's doing what he needs to do to create, I'm okay with that. So what are those things that you're taking personally? Maybe read the 4 agreements because there's 4 really good agreements in that. And that one is a game changer. Don't take it personally. I also love the idea of I'm in a different vibration than most people. Not most people. From a lot of people. If you look at it that way, if you've started to raise your vibe, right? If you started listening to this stuff, if you started meditating, if you started understanding law of attraction and really started creating, like really creating your life, not from default, most people won't get that. They won't align with it. So what will end up happening is your relationships will kind of start to fade. Maybe they'll text you less. Maybe they'll leave you out, things like that. And I'll just go, I'm just not in vibrational alignment. And that's okay. It helps you to process things. And this is not like, a Pollyanna way of living where I'm like not looking at things that hurt. That's not it at all. If something is hurting you, you need to look at it. That is an open wound. It's like an open, gaping sore that needs attention. And once you look at it, you can process through it. And as you process through it, you can start to see different perspectives. So if, let's just say, you have a situation, your friends did a big event and they didn't invite you, right? This is a choice that you have. So you can look at that and you can get really sad, and you probably will at first. You'll probably feel hurt. You'll probably feel some FOMO. You'll probably feel left out. You get some more water. And that's okay, because those initial feelings are a mechanism, right? That's your mind trying to keep you safe and the same. Doesn't want you to expand and grow from this experience. Then as you look at it and you go, all right, what's that core wound that I'm coming from? Oh, being left out, being abandoned, whatever it is. And then it's deciding, do I want to continue this way? Do I want to keep creating scenarios that create these feelings inside of me, right? That evoke these feelings inside of me. No emotions need to be out of control. You can have emotional intelligence. You can say to your emotions, I choose not to feel you. right? At any point, you can process and then choose not to feel them. The process is important though. This is not about pushing your emotions down. The process is important. It's looking at the emotion and it's working within it. And it's asking yourself, what can I learn from this? What am I being shown? What can I see that I haven't seen before? One of my other favorite things to do right now also is to ask that if there's people around me that aren't seeing what I see, I'm asking for them to see it, right? Like if I see something and I have kind of seen someone's manipulation and their agenda, I'm asking for the people in my life to see it as well, right? Just show us. Just show us. If we're missing something, show us. That's what I say. Always to the divine. If we're missing something, let us see it. That is such an awesome ask because it's going to allow you to see things that have gone beyond that unconscious place, right? That place that you haven't been able to see before. It allows you to see from a different perspective, see from that higher perspective, right? Okay, so when you ask, you'll always see. You'll always see because you're asking, right? This is like asking it as given every time. So that's a really great prayer. Now, when it comes to relationships and the relationships that you are experiencing in your life, looking at each one of them and asking yourself, is it serving? Is it serving my highest and best? Am I always feeling depleted after this, after I hang out with this person? Am I always feeling like, I'm not being supported? And I'm not saying that we need to end relationships. What I'm saying is that we need to speak up in these relationships if things aren't working for us, because the longer we wait, the more misery we have, the more anger we have, the more resentment we have, the harder that confrontation is going to be. And probably the more negative that confrontation is going to be. Because oftentimes people don't know, right? They don't even know what they don't know. So when you come at them with all of this stuff, they're going to feel blindsided and then they're going to get on the defensive because they had no idea this was going on with you because you are such a good actor or actress, right? Like you've been so good at hiding how you feel that they had no idea that you were even struggling with any of this because you're always there for them and you're always supportive and you're always a happy and positive, light. So they don't, oftentimes people don't think that we even need support because we are that positive light. They don't even understand that we have our own stuff going on or our own negativity because we don't share that. So pay attention how you feel. Pay attention how you feel after you talk to people and really get honest with yourself. I think this is another piece of this, like another layer of it is really getting honest with ourselves. Like, am I really tolerating something that I don't want? Am I constantly saying, this is what I don't want? Am I always complaining about this, but I'm not doing anything about it? That is a recipe for insanity right there. And a recipe to drive the people around you crazy if you keep complaining, but you don't end up doing anything about it. We can always do something about every experience in our life. We always have a choice. And if you can take yourself out of considering so much about the other person and what's going to happen to them, right? And set yourself free, in the long run, you're going to be so much better off. Because if this person keeps creating these scenarios in their life and they're not learning from it, you're not doing them any favors. You're actually enabling them. Right? When we put up with a bunch of crap from someone, we're enabling them to be a crappy person. We're enabling them to be unsupportive. We're enabling them to be a taker. And that doesn't serve them either. So when we actually get down to it and we actually say what we need to say and let them know, then they can grow from it. So otherwise, they won't ever see it. They won't ever see it if you're just, glossing over everything. And it's not our position or our job to teach people. It's not. There's been plenty of relationships where I haven't told people what they probably needed to hear, but that's a me thing, right? That's a me thing in the past. Not telling people what I actually needed them to hear didn't help them to grow. They probably left pretty confused, not knowing why. So let's do everybody a favor and kind of, clear the air here and say what needs to be said and help people to understand where you're coming from. We can do it in love and compassion. There wasn't any point in that conversation with that girl that I wasn't coming from love. I was just being direct. Like, hey, this isn't the, Motel 6, the free Motel 6, I should say. You can't stay here for as long as you want. In another month, I'm going to have this conversation with you and you're still not going to have a plan because you had 6 weeks to come up with a plan and you didn't do anything. So, right? What are we doing? What are we doing here? I ask myself that a lot. What are we doing here? What am I doing? It's really good to ask yourself that. What am I doing? Because that question right there allows you to get honest with yourself. What am I doing in this relationship? What am I doing with this person? What am I allowing this person to do to me? Right? Everything is always about our allowing. No one can do anything to you without your permission. Let me say that again. No one can do anything without your permission. You allow it. So as resentful as you get towards them, as much as you feel like they're doing it to you, that's always victim mentality. That's never going to help you learn and grow. So instead, if you can decide, okay, I've allowed this person to trample my boundaries and I don't have to keep doing that. I can stop right now. I can stop at any time and I choose to stop right now because at the end of the day, this is my life and I get to choose. I get to choose what I'm doing, who I'm doing it for, and I don't owe anyone anything. And that's living your life unapologetically. That's living your life cleaner. And people may say it's selfish, and I have a whole thing about being selfish. It's doing what allows you to step into your gifts, to step into your light, to be that bright, shining light. You can't do that if people are sucking off of you. You can't do that if people are leeching off of you, right? So look at those relationships and just see if there's any of that leeching energy where people are just taking and you're just giving. If you feel good about it, then it's okay. But at the end of the day, if you're feeling depleted, if you're feeling like you're giving to everyone and there's no exchange of value, you really have to take a look at that. We're here to call people to their highest and best. If we're allowing someone, enabling someone to stay in that lower field of taking and being shitty, we're not helping them. And we're definitely not helping ourselves. So this is about empowerment. This is about letting people grow and expand with you and become conscious. And the other piece of this that just came up was, if you tell someone how you feel, this happened to me in a couple of friendships a few years ago that had to end. Some really, I thought, very valuable friendships, but they weren't valued by those people. If you tell people how you feel and what you need, and they say yes, but then their actions completely ignore that, that's a red flag too. Yeah. Because you already said it. Now you got to say it again, right? Or if you tell somebody no, and then they keep asking, that's a red flag. Yeah, it is. Whew. Okay, my throat is going crazy. I think we need to do some throat clearing. I want you to close your eyes and take a long, slow, deep breath. Actually, if you're driving, pause this for later. If you're, doing things, pause this one for later. This is going to be a great exercise for you to actually clear that throat chakra. So I may actually be doing some actual clearing to release this part of yourself. The throat and the heart are next to each other for a reason. That reason is so that you can speak from your heart, right? That's why they're so close together. They're the same distance actually as your brain, which is really interesting, because if you're super logical, you're always going to be talking from your logic and you're not going to be paying attention to your heart. So that doesn't really serve you. So this is about getting in touch with our heart so that our heart is connected to our throat and we're able to speak from that place of what we really want, not from the logical mind. The logical mind's going to tell you why you need to help, why this person needs you. It's going to give you all the reasons to keep you stuck in these boundaryless relationships. So you don't want to listen to the mind. You want to go down into the heart and ask the heart what you really want, what's really going to serve you, what really is love. Because sometimes love is tough, right? Sometimes love is boundaries. Sometimes love is like not tolerating this stuff anymore that makes you feel like you're drained and depleted. All right. So we're going to connect the throat and the heart. All right. So join me. Close your eyes. Let's take a deep breath. And just let everything go as you breathe out. Let your shoulders drop. Take another deep breath. And release. And take another deep breath. And when you take this deep breath, I want you to hold it at the top. Just hold it, and release. All right, so we ask for us to be able to see from a perspective that allows us to channel the wisdom for our good, that allows us to let go of wounds from our past, let go of the traumas and tragedies of our past, and allows us to create from this present moment right now. We ask for a full release of the throat, the chakra that allows us to speak our truth. We ask for all those untruths, all those false belief systems, all the ways we've shut ourselves down to be released from the blocks that have caused us not to be able to hear what our heart most wants us to hear, or to say what our heart most wants us to say. So take a nice deep breath and blow it out. Do it again. Do it again. We release all those energies that have kept us small. Take a deep breath. Blow it out. We release all those energies that keep us wanting for love from places that we feel unlovable. Take a deep breath. We release all the energies around our heart chakra that have caused us to close down our heart, to become resentful, unforgiven, unforgivable, self-hatred, all the energies that have caused us to not be truthful, the lies, the deception, the ways we have sheltered ourselves from the truth. We take a deep breath and we release. We ask for the blinders to be taken off. If there are people in our lives that are taking advantage, that are leeching off of us, that are disrespecting our boundaries, that are expecting too much, that are not, that we are enabling, that we are disempowering, allow us to take the blinders off now. Take a deep breath and blow that energy away. We ask to see. We ask for our eyes to be open, for our intuition to be opened, for us to have a perception beyond this 3D physical experience, where we can see the hidden agendas, where we can see anything that is not of its highest and best that is around us that needs to go, allowing us to no longer tolerate what is intolerable, but to place ourselves in a high vibrational state where we are protected, where we are seen, where we are supported and loved, and where we bask in the divine's love for us, so that our cup is full. So we understand that taking care of ourselves is of the utmost importance. That when we give too much and we deplete ourselves, we aren't living in our highest vibration. We aren't allowing our light to truly shine. Allowing us to shed the power of the ego, no longer wanting to help from an egoic place where we get credit, where people owe us, where people thank us, where we need gratitude from others to feel important or to feel worthy. Take a deep breath. Now, I want you to imagine that you're standing in a spotlight. This light goes all the way around you, 3 to 4 feet. This light is bathing and cleansing your field, allowing you to know, allowing you to connect with what is truth, what is truthful, what is important, what is necessary for your growth. We allow ourselves to come into a place where we have choice about the meanings that we give to things. So we no longer create meanings from the past or from our wounds, but we create meanings that serve us, that allow us to be in a high vibrational place where we are known, where we are seen, where we are supported, and we are loved. So allow yourself to bathe in this light for a moment, feeling that love, feeling that high vibration, allowing each one of your cells to drink up this light that is you, this light that is sustaining, this light that is life-giving. It allows you to thrive. It allows you to connect with the divine energy's never-ending stream of abundance and power and truth and expression. Fills you up so you don't need to go other places. You don't need to get it or try to get it from others. You are full and whole in your own knowing of who you are, of your own being of truth, of your own remembering that you are on a soul's journey, here to expand and grow. And each circumstance is giving you an opportunity to see something, to know something, to grow from something, and to have that enthusiasm, that excitement, that, oh yeah, that's right. I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm letting go of my addiction to emotions. Take a deep breath on that one. I'm letting go of the dramas, the dramas that I've created to keep myself safe, to keep myself from my growth. The dramas that I've created to keep myself small and to keep myself in places that I feel secure in. We break the shackles of the drama and allow ourselves to be empowered in our truth, allowing us to create boundaries around our wholeness, our awareness, our knowledge, our wisdom, and to be in this energy of expansion and growth wherever it takes us, to have that strong vibration of faith and to always receive the downloads from this divine energetic connection that connect us to our truth, connect us to, that voice inside of us, that heart space inside of us, allowing our heart light to connect to our throat light, to connect to our intuition, leaving the mind out and creating this line of light, this laser beam of light within us. Yeah, we can bring that all the way down to the root, coming all the way through us like a lightsaber, connecting us to our power, our worth, our value, our knowing that, truth be told, we are here to expand and grow and to step more into our power every single day, every single experience, to become that which we came here to be. And just let that light come through you, around you, surround you, wrap you up in this warm blanket of worthiness so you can know the truth. Okay. Wow. I went on a journey there. I hope you did too. That was like we're going to say it was like at 46 or 45 for a minute if you want to come back to it another time, because that was a good one. That was a juicy one. should have recorded that for the YouTube channel just by itself. But that was some good stuff right there. Yeah. So knowing who you are, trusting that you have guidance, and that guidance is not to be ignored, not to take other people's guidance as truth, right? Like a lot of times that happens, and I see it a lot in our world, and I see it with my kids, and they hear this stuff on TikTok and they hear this stuff on Instagram, and then they take it as truth. And it's like, oh, this lady on Instagram said this, so it must be true. And it's like, what? We're losing our sense of guidance. AI is losing our sense of guidance, right? Like we're going outside of ourselves constantly for answers. We have all the answers within, especially when it comes to relationships, especially when it comes to what's going on with you. You at the core, And if you feel confused, it's only because you're wrapped up in the mind's game. So it's taking those deep breaths. It's coming back to center, it's quieting that mind, and it's knowing that you have the truth within you. And you can access that anytime you ask. And you can have access to that anytime you step out of that anxiety. You step out of that fear. You step out of that, I have no choice, right? None of those things needs to be in your life experience. You always have a choice. And your choice has a lot to do with the meanings you're giving to things. If you sit there and you go, I have a choice. I have a choice. I can choose to do this, and stop considering so many other people and how they're going to feel. And, it's kind of like a parent when you punish your child, or, you do something, your child has consequences. It doesn't feel good as a parent to do that, right? No, it feels awful. Unless you're really mad, then sometimes it feels good. But we don't like our kids to have consequences, but how else do they learn, right? So at the end of the day, we're actually doing it for people's good. We're doing it for their good, because enabling and letting people take advantage of you is not teaching them anything good. They're just going to go and they're going to do it to somebody else. So by helping them to see that it's not going to work with you, it might wake them up. It might make them more conscious of what they're doing to other people, and it might not. That's not your business. But what your business is to make sure that you're taken care of. It's to make sure that you're doing what's right for your life, for your family, for your energy field, right? This is our field of energy. We get to say who's in it, and we get to decide who's not. And that may sound harsh. It's taken me a lot of years to get here, but it's the truth. And we can save ourselves a lot of pain and anguish and frustration by confronting things right away, saying what needs to be said instead of, pushing everything under the rug. I come from generations of people who swept everything under the rug. And then there was just this underlying yuckiness that usually ended up in family fights. And that's how a family ends, actually. That's how estrangements happen. Don't let yourself do that. Say what needs to be said, say what's on your heart. We've now connected the throat to the heart, which I thought was kind of cool, that we had this like lightsaber. I just remembered. Sometimes I'm like, I'm not totally there when these things come through. To have that lightsaber come through, like all the way from your root, that like connected every one of your chakras. So that connects your the root is like your foundation. It's like prosperity. It's your support. And then you've got your power center. Your sacral is your energy, your emotional energy and your creative energy, connecting your heart to your throat, to your third eye. Kind of left the mind out of it. Try working to keep the mind separate from it so that you can connect these areas that allow you to be a whole being, not living from your wounds, but living from your wholeness. And that's how you're going to create a happy, joyful life. Will things be perfect all the time? No, but they're as perfect as we make them mean, right? Everything is perfect right now because of the meanings that we get to give to them. All right, guys, I love y'all. Peace out.